Yeah, we going there. We on our tens of millions.
And how long did it take you to get there?
20 years. It's 20 years.
Drewy, the beat chap. Yeah. The first time that I saw you, I never knew I'd get through. A diamond made by pressure, but I got to finesse her. Yeah, heart struck. I think I'm starstruck. Yeah.
My dad passed away when I was 2 years, 1980, and I moved to my grandfather. After that, told my mom. Then I moved to Mahalapye. 81. Funny enough, I was 3 years and I have that memory. I think I'm one of those few people who can time travel back to maybe when I was like 2 years. It's scary. Sometimes it scares me that how can you recognize and recall, make a total recall of your time up to when you're 2 years, but I can do that. It's sometimes it scares me because I remember the first time. I was moving to Mahalapye. My mom remained in Gaps after my dad passed away because already they had 2 houses, I think, or a house in Gaps. I was brought up by a prophet, like a real prophet. I don't know how real it gets, but yeah, he was the realist. I did the whole of my primary school in Mahalapye. I was a shepherd. I took care of goats and cattle. When I did my standard 3, days, every single day after school, I would go and take care of goats. Me and some other guy would go up together. It's called Ngalas. His mom was taking care of my grandfather and cook for him and everything. Yes. Yeah, so that guy, I grew up with him in Mahalapye. I stayed with my old mates until I finished my primary, until I moved back to Gaps when I was doing my Form 1. My grandfather was a very strict man, but I think I'm the only guy who defeated him. I grew up very, very naughty. I can confess. That doesn't say I was a bad kid, but I was a very, very naughty kid. And I remember I always thought about it later on in life, and then I just said, but it was just a learning emotional intelligence, because my old man was a very mean old man. He was Mr. No Nonsense. I mean, the whole village got scared of him. Some people tried to destroy his name, saying Mahalapye, because he was not your average next door father. He was too orthodox. It was his way or the highway. And he was full of love. I don't know about other siblings and other kids around him, but I spent all my time with him. Like my primary, I would literally be with him almost every day. So I think I sucked a lot of him into me. And also I looked up to him. So, yeah, my, and also my grandmother. Yeah, she's the one who used to whip me. I used to get whipped, not the way people say get whipped. No, I used to seriously get whipped. I was a naughty kid. I was the type to steal a radio home and go break it down. So I used to get whipped. I remember one time there was a Luna Park that visited Mahalapye. Even though my other siblings got whipped for it because I stayed behind. The next day I was the one now who ran out to Luna Park. I got whipped so bad that my grandmother fell as I was trying to catch me, so I was running away. But the love that I have for her was so much that I actually stopped running and went back to pick her up. So, yeah. You see, I grew up, I was short. I was a shepherd. I was a Boy Scout. Because I used to mend goats every day after school, that gave me a lot of time to spend it alone. So I would envision stuff. I mean, if you are in the bush and you are taking care of goats, there is nothing much you can do. You spend 2 hours in silence. So it gave me a lot of time to think in shapes and colors. I was a Boy Scout. I remember me and my cousin from Mahalapye and all the guys that we went to St. James Primary School together as a group of Boy Scouts. Your Garrison, Taha, your Naledi Mahalapye, your Mpemetsi Kidiki, and all the other guys that came through on that Boy Scout troop. We formed the best driven scout troop. So the creative in me was triggered at a young age. But it wasn't structured. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know that it was being creative. But I knew that I'm always good at what I do. Because I was short and young, I didn't play sport. I didn't run. So the only thing that I could do was Boy Scout, and Boy Scout brought the creative side of me. There was a competition between me and my cousin, because me and my cousin Bonnie, we formed our own Boy Scout. We had to form it because it was not there. And there was competition between either I was a Boy Scout master or he was. And because I'm the type of a guy who always liked to be behind the scene, I could easily accept being assistant scout master. But I knew I was the creative one. Not to say he wasn't, or not to say trying to shine better than him, but because it was always a gifting, I would come up with all those creative way of doing things. And the rapport between me and him was easy because he was my cousin. So sometimes instead of this, we will discuss these things at a family level. I'll walk with him to his place, or he walked with me to our place. So we could easily discuss that thing. We formed the best Boy Scout troop of St. James, or to probably have ever come out of Mahalapye. That's what we think is. So yeah, my creative side of life was always triggered at a very young age. I was, after 77, I was admitted at Mahalapye Secondary School. So back in the days, there was a thing called Hotrita. You know, like if you're Form 1, they'll initiate you kind of like somewhere. So for you to go to because I grew up not exposed to families, other families and everything, because of how our upbringing was with our old men. So I didn't grow up being exposed to a lot of things. I had never seen a graveyard until I went to do Form 1. I had never attended a funeral because that's how my woman protected me. I had never visited people formally as a family, unless just on my naughtiness, just going out and just going to rebelling against what my old man wanted to do and just go and party with people. So we when we went to do Form 1, to go into Mahalapye Secondary School, you had to pass through the graveyards. And there were some guys who initiated your what they would call it, and they harassed me and they wanted me to kiss a grave. So that thing was haunted me. It messed me up. So then I went in the evenings. My grandfather came from church at night, and I told him. And then the next day he had to make sure that I take transfer. So yeah, that's one of the things that I realized that no, he loves me, because he was a very mean man. Sometimes he would shout at you, curse you out for no reason. You would think he doesn't love you. But yeah, so then I moved to come and stay with my mom. And we went to stay in Ramon. So I did my Form 1, Form 2, still being the naughty boy that I am, and everything. That's when I started to stay with my mom. I never stayed with my mom until I did my Form 1. So I was learning here. I was learning how she does things. And yeah, so we went and stayed in Ramon. So me and him, and we grew up, and I went to some schools in Ramon, and we stayed together until she passed away. My mom's passed away in 1997. And in between then and her passing, that's when I realized a lot about me. I was getting into my teenagehood. I was getting into the creative side of me. The extrovert in the introvert of me popped out. That primarily I was a loner, but a good thinker. Now with my mom's, I was too much socializing, but closing on and shaping my thinkings without sharing it to the world. So yeah, so that's how my teenagehood manifested, and I dropped out of high school.
From what?
At Form 4.
Mm-hmm.
Going
Why?
to Form 5. I was not. I chased out of school and I went to the other school, and chased out of school and I went to the other school and got chased out of the other school. Yeah, so somebody who knows me very well as a school teacher was the infamous Mr. Mukuti. I think everybody knows him from Garage and from GSS. So he used to whip the hell out of me because we were snotty. So yeah, my childhood was basically like that. Then later on went to college, did a heavy plant. I was a rebel. Like, I always knew what I wanted to do, but there was an expectation from the society, and especially that now my mom was like a container, and she allowed me to be the liquid that fills up. She allowed me to be the liquid that fills up that container. So the 7 years that we lived together before she passed on, I could be anything that I wanted. She encouraged it. When I came to my mom and said, I'm done with formal school, I want to do school through correspondence and everything, she bought into it. That allowed me to go to Joburg alone, Mafikeng alone, discovered my other people, started to have connections, really triggered my creative side of life. So now, after my mom passed away, I had no access to anything. I was learning again to be relearning to be an introvert, living like an extrovert. So yeah, that was a messed up time when my mom passed away. Yeah, that was a messed up time. I struggled. Since my mom passed away, I struggled because she passed away when I was 17. I was young, so like now I don't have a mom, I don't have a dad. You get me? And I went back to Mahalapye. Yeah, and I struggled to fit in. When my mom passed away, I was elusive. I was, one day I wake up in Botswana, next day wake up in Joburg, next day wake up in Botswana, the next day wake up. I would go to Joburg 4 times in a week and sleep in Botswana 3 times within that week. I was on my hustle, I was meeting people. I remember when I was 16, I came to tell my mom that I met William Teto, was a big star back then. And my mom was so interested in how I'm able to do these things, and she was encouraging me, she was giving me money. I was telling her how I want to rent my apartment, and my other siblings, my 2 elders, my sister and my brother, my mom got me spoiled and everything has messed me up. But yeah, so I was just on my elements, and boom! We used to call her a gentlewoman. The gentlewoman passed away and yeah, shut down. My life got shut. I had to, like I say, I had to now relearn being an introvert now. I reserve myself back again, stop being the all up in your guys, beg for things that I never begged, sucked just for me to breathe. I would ask people just for me to breathe, just to maintain. I would be in a place where I'm not supposed to be just because I had to try and fit in. I love music. I can't sing. I live with my other big brother. He's called Shime Kumanyan in Unit 5 in Mafike. On my age, we were starting that degree. I was learning music management at Mabana Music Center. So my first love was music. My first love was music, yeah. I wanted to own a recording label. I knew I could own a recording label. Before my mom passed away, I was in a platform to go and own a recording label. Then boom, she passed away, so everything shut down. So when I came back home, me and my cousin Mpobi Dumelophones and my friend Sticks, we formed a company called FNS, Phones, Nature and Sticks. Nature being me, because I back in the days I used to go by the name Nature Bob, derived from one of my favorite persons in the world. He's close to me the same way Jesus is close to me. He's called Ric Flair. I don't know if you know him. He's a wrestler. Yes, I think he's the best wrestler ever. Ric Flair. Being the best wrestler not because of the muscle, but because of his approach into wrestling, as a product of wrestling. How I feel he was a total package of wrestling. How he exuded his confidence, how he got into the ring, how his wrestling styles, his tactics, his talkbacks, his trash talk. Yes, I'll use it as a metaphor to interpret my life. So I went by the name of Nature Boy. So we formed a promotion company, and yeah, that's how I think that was our first structured business. Just Phones, Nature and Sticks. we used to call artists to come. V can be a witness. We called V, we called Mosako. Even Mosako, by then he wasn't even called Mosako, he was called Lee. And he was our boy, he's still my boy, he's our boy, he's our homeboy. So yeah, and yeah, we picked. And then we discovered, one time we took a drive, me and Sticks, we went and discovered his other old man's place. Right now it's an event center and a kind of like a lodge. It's called Rock City now. We had our first gig there. It was at night. We hustled. We were 18. Sticks would get his old man's cars because my grandfather never allowed me to drive his car. He had all the best cars in the world, but he never allowed me to drive his car. But later on, I found out that it molded me to be a go-getter. Yeah, so Sticks would hustle his father's Land Cruiser. We will harass Mr. Mulusiwa and get on with our things. So yeah, that's how I started my first business. But it wasn't a structured business. It wasn't business. We didn't make profit. I think it was a rapport. By then it will attract the next beautiful guests to be around you. You had to do what you had to do to maintain the coolness. So yeah, that's how we started. That's how we started business. Yeah.
What happened to it?
We came to college. I mean, we were young and coming from Orthodox families. It wasn't something the parents were interested in. We were rebelling. It was a serious rebel, especially for me and Sipo, because I think both our parents were kind of like mad strict. That's the mad strict. So we were rebelling. Later on, we came to college. We came to college. Funny how I went to my Fikeng. I went back to my Fikeng. I think it distorted the flow of the FNS business. And when I came back, I was now no longer doing what I used to do in my Fikeng and everything. I was doing heavy plant mechanics. I never knew, from somebody who was Cosmo-oriented to now just being, and I guess I had to get macho. Yeah, so then I started to do heavy plant. I did it for 1 year though, and that 1 year was enough for me to comprehend everything. Look, in that 1 year I did a lot. I learned because I used to sit next to my other homeboy. He's called Martin Stein. They've got heavy plant machines in Mahalapye. So I used to suck a lot of information from him, even though I would not go and fix physically. My management skill managed me to rationalize everything that was being said, so I could comprehend. I was starting to learn what an engine is, because I had never opened it and touched an engine before, or even if I had touched it, I had never even wanted to know what these parts were for. So I learned fast. I'm good at concentrating. I'm not good at I long learned the skill of writing in my head. I don't normally write with a pen. It's because I trained the skill of memorizing. I used to memorize until now I learned how to write. So now I make total recall. That's why right now I can say, sometimes it scares me, as an interview started to say, I can totally recall my life back to when I was 2 years. It's not, I used to ask people, can you recall when you were 2 years? I know that I'm smart. I don't budge about it. That's why were things not eating up. I see. So 2 years before the formation of Kaba, one other close friend, who's now my equal business partner at the current state and going to forever now, found me in a bad space. He went to check some other guy that I was asking for a space who had accommodated me. And I said, you are not in a good space, man. What is happening? And I said, hey, nigga, can I come join you? And he say, but we are with other people. No, can I come join you? And even though he knew that I'm able to do what I can do, because we've been together for like 20 years. He couldn't comprehend what I'm trying to say. His name is Taj. Manamuti Kinos. He's my business partner. Now I can confidently say he's my business partner. So the second month, I think we did orders close to 300,000. I remember the office manager OT. We looked later on and I said, "You see, OT, that's what I told you." And that settled Taj. To trust in what I was saying, even though as difficult as he can be in life, it is hard to say no. Even though he knew, it's hard for him to believe, and he's got an inquisitive mind. So yeah, basically that's. Then I worked for Simple Creative for 2 years. And I remember Taj used to tell me that, no, come, I want to give you. Later on, when he realized that this guy actually sticks to his principles and his words, said, I want to offer you shares. But I already knew what I was doing. Whatever Taj was giving me monthly was giving me 5,000. Sometimes things would be tough. I would get my money a month late. Never complained. Never got worried about it. But I was using that money to invest in the building up to cover projects, setting up structures without and it tested my principles. You see, a lot of time in business, people fail to do business because lack of principles. You employ people and they open business within your business. I worked for Taj for 2 years. I never had a deal outside the business. Anything that could come as an offer for me, I'll bring it to the office. Whether it failed, it should rather. If Taj rejects it, even if how profitable or the potential to do that business is, if he reject it as my boss, I'll leave it. But I would always make sure that whatever business that I canvas outside there, I bring it to the office. Yeah. So basically that's that. And then after 2 years, I retired from Taj. I remember in November. I think by then there was a bit of a tension between me and him because I needed money. I needed to close what I needed to close. And the only cover project alone, I had nothing. I had 2 pence. 1 pair of shoe. I was staying in the garage at home. I was a stress to my eldest sister, and I couldn't take care of my firstborn. A lot of stuff on me was just bad. But that was the first time I owned life. Maybe it's because they say God doesn't come to you until you are lost, last and least. So now there was nobody else I was dealing with. I didn't have to give a call to anybody to say I would meet him. I was in my space. Then God could work on me, and also my energy could be directed and channeled strictly to me and business. So yeah, the first year I worked very, very hard and made my first million. And I invested that million into buying my own space and time, because I knew that I needed to make money, the first million, and purchase and put a system in place so much that I can never be anywhere I don't want to be. I can never do a business that I don't want to do. I can never buy into an idea just because it can bring 100,000, but I'll buy into the idea out of conviction that it flows with my kind of way of doing things. Yeah. So then I made my first million and bought time and space.
So you really started in your 30s?
Yes. Everything else I was just like I said, I was just drawing the pieces. I was not even laying them down. I was drawing them. I bought experience first. It doesn't say I started at a formal incorporated business in the 30s. I started entrepreneurship when I was 19 or 18. You hear me? Or probably 15, actually. Yeah, should say. I started my entrepreneurship 15. But I started formal or an incorporated business in my 30s. Reader's Digest, the Bible, and the Bible. The Bible and the Bible. I think 3 books. Jokes aside, I think 3 books that I would recommend, depending on the industry. Look, if I can tell you, it might sound like a joke. Because of 20 years that I've been trying and keep on trying to do business, I've been able to be a shareholder in 20 companies, and a full-time director in 15 of them. So we are vast. You get me? So also at the same time, we must catch up with time. So yeah, I'll reduce it to the Bible. Anything else is just a book. Yeah. I used to, forever in life, I never kept a wallet. I would keep my ID here, the driver's license here, the credit card here. For the first time I've organized, I bought a wallet. So I think that is the biggest thing I bought the past 6 months. Like you say, yeah, it's my wallet, it's my new wallet. We are the results of things that occupy our minds. That is one thing that I can tell the world. What I will give them is college, school, learning environment teaches you only 3% of what you need to do. 97% it is in the industry. Stop thinking you know until you know. That is the first thing. The second thing is to say your lecturer is telling you half of the truth. Most probably because he only has half of the truth, which is the theory. 98% of lecturers have never done the practical side of things that they say. So if you are in a building school, your lecturer might tell you about mortar and bricks, but probably has never laid a mortar or a brick. So patience will pay you. Go out there to learn. Don't go out there to claim. They should never listen to people who or energies that project struggle forever. They should never listen to people who claim that things are tough now, because the best is yet to come. You know what I mean? Look, for example, if I'm speaking to a typical Motswana student or a college graduate or somebody who's out there trying to start life and everything, I'll tell you that, you see, business in New York, they've been trading in the 60s, in the 18th centuries, early 16, 17, yeah? They're still trading now. We're only 2 million in a country as big as France and England combined. We will make it. So people must stop thinking the world is coming to an end. No.
I'm trying to get to know you. I think I'm starstruck, yeah. Heart struck.